Hi there, I'm Paul Alger from the UK Fashion and Textile Association, and I'm here with Dawn Robson-Bell of Lochcarron of Scotland today as part of UKFT's British Textile Week in association with the Cloth Workers Company and the Campaign for Wool. This month we are celebrating the craftsmanship, creativity and the innovation of the UK textile industry, and I'm delighted that Dawn has joined me to talk to you about what makes Lochcarron special. So first of all, just to get us started, Dawn, please tell us a little bit about yourself and also about Lochcarron.
Hi, my name's Dawn Robson-Bell. I've been with Lochcarron of Scotland for just about 32 years, which is almost half of the company's history. It was established in 1947 as a family-owned company. We've grown over the years to specialise in tartan and associated fabrics and accessories. We have a large home textile market in terms of the Scottish market, the UK market, but we also deal with fashion design brands right across the world. So everywhere from Japan to America to Europe. So we do cross a lot of boundaries, and we have a lot of fabrics that are of interest internationally.
Brilliant, thank you. Tell us a little bit, Dawn, about some of the techniques and the things that Lochcarron is particularly famous for. Every year you send us amazing, vibrant checks and tartans for UKFT's display, but what are your customers particularly keen to find from you every year?
Well, at Lochcarron, the tartan is definitely the major part of what we do and the most popular. And I think because of the breadth of what you can get in tartan, you can get everything from something very simple like the black watch right the way through to brightly coloured things that people might not associate as being tartans. It also, the history of tartan, people like to have that background to something. It gives it an authenticity. But as well as that line that we do, we also do seasonal collections, which a lot are based around the tartans and the patterns, but maybe translating them into cloths that you wouldn't automatically think of as tartans, so putting them into brushed mohairs, textural effects. And alongside that, we do show complementary fabrics as well. So we do a little bit work with sort of mixture yarns into tweeds. So things that will sit together in that whole sort of look that feels Scottish, but also feels contemporary. And that also goes across into our accessories as well, because we sell scarves, stoles, blankets, that type of product as well.
Do you create your own accessories then, Dawn, out of the textiles that you produce?
Yes, they run parallel with the fabric production. They're woven so that you can cut the size of the accessory straight from the cloth. They go through a very similar finishing process, although quite often more finishing because they're generally brushed or they have different surface techniques to give them more softness and make them drape nicely. Then they'll come into in-house to be cut into individual items, labelled, bagged, usually branded with Lochcarron or dual branded with customers.
And available at lochcarron.com, I assume?
Most certainly, yes. And great. Lots of other places too.
Such as, please tell us.
Well, we have a number of Scottish customers that buy for their brands, and they complement what they're doing, and they're perhaps manufacturers without looms. But also we do work with international design brands as well. Quite often there is a little bit of dual branding, but also customers' own branding as well.
That's great. Working with luxury houses, as I know you do, is always interesting. You can't always name them, but are there some that you can name, or is that too much of a secret to give away?
It's a very difficult question to answer because we're allowed to talk about it amongst our peer group for most customers, but we work with numbers on the sort of top end of the British High Street, so Vivienne Westwood, we work with Brora, we work with Toast, and then international designers, some of the top French houses, some of the most outlandish and amazing Japanese designers, and kind of everything in between. And a lot of the newer brands, the younger brands, Nicholas Daly, Charles Jeffrey, Shrimps, these are great brands to be working with, and they've brought a nice vibrancy to what they're doing, and that helps us as well because they love working with checks and tartans, and it kind of pushes us to develop more and think of these different brands and often the more youth-orientated fashion, street fashion as well, they quite like using tartan. And I guess it maybe goes back to the time when tartan had the association with punk. And, you know, wherever that came from, it took tartan in a completely different direction to where it had been. So it's got that edge and that sort of, you know, rebel associations as well, which have continued right the way through the fashion brands. But then it's one of the most traditional cloths that you'll ever come across, and used in some of the most traditional ways as well.
Thank you, Dawn. Just looking at some of your best markets and how they're behaving in these unusual times, let's say. We would normally have been getting ready to go to Premier Vision in Paris, but we're not. But here we are with British Textile Week instead, which we hope will fire lots of people's imagination and excitement about UK textiles. What are you seeing as key trends, perhaps on the business side at the moment?
We were somewhat disconcerted about the whole lockdown aspect of everything that happened. Like, you know, that's perhaps an understatement. Aside from the health implications and all the concerns about how this is going to pan out, it hit at a time where we had literally just filled our production with yarn to do all of our seasonal orders for autumn winter 20. And we really had no idea how the impact of the delay of those would have affected us. Luckily, we have managed to supply virtually everything that was ordered, albeit a little bit later than anticipated. We had very few cancellations. We did negotiate one or two things with customers where they wanted to reduce their orders, but on the whole, everything carried on as normal once we were able to get back up and running. So that gave us a boost in terms of our customers still had the confidence in their markets, and they were still communicating with their customers. Since then, it's difficult to say because it feels like some of the brands have actually lost almost a couple of seasons, if not 3 seasons. They've not really had a chance to do spring 21 because of the whole lockdown. They've been cautious about autumn 20, and they're now starting to talk about autumn winter 21, whilst some are also thinking, hang on, we've missed that spring 21. So we've stopped really asking when people are working for. We're just trying to respond to what they need. And I think that's what everybody's having to do, is look at what a customer's requirements are, see how flexible you can be with that. If people go straight to bulk because they've missed the boat for autumn 20, which we found has happened with a few accounts, we're just trying to turn things around quickly so they can get things into the store for this season. And yet other people are also still working on, you know, a year ahead of the game sort of thing. So it's really quite mixed.
So being fleet of foot is something that you're becoming very used to, I would imagine.
Yes, definitely. We've got to be able to respond positively to what requests we're getting. And, you know, I can't say our production is full, so that gives us a head start in that we've got less work in front of us, so we can respond a bit quicker. And we're just adapting to what, I don't want to use the term new normal because it's so well bandied about, but yeah, we're responding to the new normal, and we'll just see what's around the corner and deal with that as best we can when it starts to change.
So if there are some designers out there with the desire to create some new tartans and fabrics, they should give you a call.
Definitely, they're more than welcome to come to us. We're delighted to have any and every inquiry at the moment, which I think most manufacturers will be feeling the same way about.
Absolutely. Dawn, thank you for that. We speak a lot in the industry about sustainability and ethical manufacturing. What is Lochcarron doing at the moment in those areas?
I think, like everybody, Lochcarron's noticed that more and more customers are asking about the ethics of the manufacturing of the yarn. They're looking at sustainability. They want traceability. So we've been working with our supply chain to gather as much information about that and make adjustments to what we're doing where we feel actually we're now better informed and we can start looking at things more constructively. Price does come into it, and having faith in the full traceability of various schemes. But what we've been doing is looking at sourcing sourcing wools from markets closer to home. We're working with some British wools. We're looking to do more development with our British spinners. We've developed a wool loop yarn that is we're working with instead of, or as an alternative to, a mohair loop yarn. It's actually been developed with a wool binder as well, so we can use it in it. It's not got any nylon in there. Usually nylon is used as a binder for the mohair loop yarns. So we're actively trying to take the few man-made fibres out of the product that we make. So everything could be sustainable, could be put into landfill, and would decompose as wool naturally does. So it's early days in some respects, but it's definitely a larger focus for us going forward.
Thank you, Dawn. And then final question from me, which is a bit of an open one, is what is it that makes British textiles, and in your case, Scottish textiles, special?
Definitely tartan makes Scottish textiles special. And a lot of people, as I've said, they buy it partly for the story. A lot of people buy it for the family association. But a lot of people also buy it because it is quite recognisable, and it gives a brand something fairly unique as a focus. As I've said, street fashion like to use it. It's used in all sorts of different applications, from that sort of rebel to the very classic branding. But in general, I think Scottish and British textiles are recognised as being quite unique. We have a definite look in terms of the way we work with colour, the way we create with textile, with textures. And I think you're not getting that in a lot of places. What we do is very simple. We just do very simple constructions, but our use of colour and the way we translate that through texture and finish is really quite well respected. And that's quite unique in the world setting of textiles. Also, from our perspective, in Scotland, you can generally get fairly small minimums, which means people can have that flexibility of dropping something small, a smaller part into their line without having to buy hundreds of meters of something. So it gives them flexibility of introducing choice for their customers.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Dawn. That's brilliant.
Thank you very much.